because I know this was brief. We're going to try to answer these questions to the best of our ability. Again, a lot of these laws have not been decided yet, so we will answer the best of our ability and how we're going to respond to it. If you want to start lining up on the sides, those of y'all that do have questions, we got red tape over there and we got microphones on either side, and you're more than welcome, and we'll answer them. You go ahead.
Can you address accidental reveal in an establishment that has a 30-07 sign?
Yes, I will. So, common question we get is printing. Everybody know what printing is? Printing is when you're wearing a shirt and it kind of sticks to your body a little bit and the outline of that gun is revealed. Somebody realizes that you've got a gun on. And there's also you're at Walmart and you're reaching up at the top and your gun kind of exposes itself a little bit, okay? That's a common deal. The legislature changed 2 years ago that says it has to be an intentional display of the firearm in order for it to be an offense. So it's not just that I'm reaching up for tomatoes, okay? Well, tomatoes down here. I'm reaching up for paint, okay? And my gun accidentally shows. That's not an intentional display. Now, if I look at you and I go, you like what you see? Okay. That could be an intentional display. Typically what we think of intentional displays is if you're actually grabbing your gun and saying, you know, something to the effect of, I don't like you, get away from me, or something. Okay, but it's got to be an intentional act. It can't just be an accidental. So, as concealed carry goes, because not all concealed carriers carry their guns in belt or shoulder holsters, correct? So what if you accidentally display a gun? Is that legal? So say you're in Walmart, and I just pick Walmart because it's off the top of my head. But say you're in Walmart. Walmart has no signs up. I don't know if they do or not, but say they don't. And you're concealed carrying in an inside the waistband holster, and you accidentally display that gun. If that was in a belt holster, you'd be good no matter what. Because it's in a belt holster, you can openly carry a belt holster. So even if it's an accidental, intentional, whatever it is, if it's in a belt holster, you're good. If it's in an inside the waistband holster that's not attached to your belt, then if it's an accidental display, you're still within the law. If it's an intentional display, in other words, you walk around, you tuck your shirt into your inside the waistband holster that's not attached to your belt, then that would be an offense. Answer your question? Yes.
Yeah, I think you might have just answered my question. The difference between the outside the waistband holster and inside the waistband holster. Most of us hopefully carrying inside the waistband holster while normally dressed. So once this law passes, I will then have to purchase an outside the waistband holster?
If you want to open carry. If you want to open carry, you must purchase a belt holster. There are some companies that make holsters that do attach to the belt, but you carry the gun itself inside the waistband. I mean, to me, that's a belt holster. But the legislature did not give us a definition of what a belt holster is. To me, that's a belt holster. I don't see anybody that wouldn't think so. Big question is paddle holsters. Those of y'all that are familiar with paddle holsters. It's got a paddle that goes between your waistband and your body, and then the gun goes on the outside. I mean, technically that doesn't attach to the belt. So am I going to do anything about that? Probably not, but somebody eventually could. Some officer could see that and go, that's not a belt holster. And I could see his argument there, but I mean, you're talking semantics again, case law that's going to dictate all that stuff, and unless you're actually doing something that's illegal or something that we need to address, we're not going to deal with it. We're not going to deal with it just because you're openly carrying a gun.
Okay. And if I could ask another.
Go ahead.
I forget what House Bill 101 that was passed way back, where you could, without a license, carry concealed in your vehicle.
Correct. Having
a concealed handgun license, obviously you can carry concealed in your vehicle. Mm-hmm. Does that law change as well come January 1st?
No, that law is exactly the same.
So while in your vehicle, the weapon needs to remain concealed.
If you have a concealed CHL, you're going to have to correct me a lot. It's LTC. If you have a license to carry, you can now carry on your belt on the outside of your garment in plain view if you're riding around in a car.
All right.
If you have a license.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
A lot of companies will sell retail badges that say concealed weapons permit. Mm-hmm. What is Cleburne Police Department's policy? Do they encourage that so that it's visible?
We're not going to have an opinion one way or the other. I will say just because you can do something doesn't mean necessarily it's the best thing to do.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll leave that alone. It's not illegal to carry a concealed handgun badge, but you got to be careful about how that's construed by other people.
Okay.
And if someone construes that as a peace officer badge, you're
Then you have another
you're
problem.
going into some issues that you probably don't want to go down.
All right.
Yes, sir, and thank you in advance.
You're absolutely welcome.
Hospitals or nursing homes. I read the law 30 minutes ago on the Texas DPS website, and it
How'd that
says
go?
unless posted. This
So-
says no. I keep going back and forth. You know, depends on what departments you ask. Dallas PD, like you said, misinformation. They run
Right. Yeah.
a 2-minute video that says you can't carry in a church or synagogue. That's not what it says.
I'm not going to comment on what Dallas said. I'm going to tell you what the law says. The law says, originally when they wrote the law in '96, they said you can't carry church, synagogue, place of worship, hospital, nursing home. They came up with all this list of stuff you can't carry into. Over time, they realized, hey, that should be a personal property right question. So what they did is they said, okay, we're going to leave that big list in there, but then we're going to add at the end, if properly posted. So a hospital nursing home is in that category. Hospital nursing home, you can carry in a hospital nursing home if it's not posted. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If you don't see a sign, you can carry in a hospital nursing home. The issue,
That's not what this paper they handed us walking in says.
if
actually.
you read, it says if it's posted, you can't carry on there. So the key about a hospital nursing home, the reason they did that is because what's in the air at a hospital nursing home? Oxygen. Oxygen and firearms, they don't mix that well. Most hospitals and stuff, even peace officers, have to check in their guns before they walk in just because of that reason. If you accidentally fire a shot or have to fire a shot, you may stop bad guy, but you also may set fire to the entire wing, and that's not going to be good. I hope I answered your question there. If you go to the DPS website and download the CHL 16, which is the DPS CHL handbook, it will explain that, and I think it's on page 42, if I'm not correct.
LTC 16.
No, it still is CHL 16, believe it or not. Yeah, all the forms are still CHL according to DPS website. Yeah. No, it would have been nice if they changed the names to everything, but no, they just make it more confusing. Yes.
Okay, you may have answered this question. I couldn't really hear what he was saying over there.
All right.
In regards to the posting or the displaying of the 30-06 or 30-07,
Yes.
as a church or a place of worship or a nonprofit organization, do the
Right.
same rules apply, that they need to be posted? For example, our church has decided that we don't want to permit open carry, that will allow concealed carry. Do we need to have a sign on our entrances posted as a church?
No, you don't have to have a sign. However, if you don't have a sign, you need to have an agreement with your ushers or whoever kind of manages your facility at the time that you've got services or whenever you're open, that we are not allowing open carrying.
Okay.
So if somebody walks in that facility and they're open carrying, you can ask them to leave.
Okay.
So, or you can post the sign.
Put it in your car or whatever else.
Right, or you can post the sign. Now, you can ask them to, hey, if you could put a jacket on and cover up that handgun,
Right.
we'd appreciate it. We don't allow open carry inside the facility. So you don't have to post the sign if you want to verbally tell people.
Okay.
If you don't want to verbally tell people, then you have to post the sign.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I moved here 3 months ago from out of state, and last year I renewed my concealed carry in the state I'm from, Colorado.
Okay.
Will it apply to me?
Yes. Currently, the rules that we're going off of are the current reciprocity rules.
Okay.
Colorado is currently a reciprocity
Right.
state, which means that all the rights that a normal CHL holder or LTC holder has in Texas, you are afforded those rights.
Okay. It's not like the driver's license where change it as quickly as possible.
Now, if you do change your residence, you are required within 30 days to change your address on your license. But if Colorado does not require you to change your Colorado CHL or whatever they call it, that license is still valid. You're not required to get a Texas resident license until you decide you want one.
Okay, because you're the first person that could answer that question.
Well, look at
Congratulations.
that. Well, I feel good today.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Graduate of your class.
Ah, look at that. Thank you.
I was wondering what rights businesses have for approaching somebody to inquire whether they're a holder.
None.
They don't have the right to do that.
So, and this is a question that's posed a lot. If you see someone driving down the road, and you say you're a business owner, somebody driving down the road and they pull up in front of your store, and they get out of their car, and you meet them out in the parking lot, and you say, I need to see your driver's license. You can't do that. Now, I can ask you, as a private business owner, I can ask you any question I want to. That's freedom of speech, right? Do you have to answer a question? No, that's also your freedom of speech. So, I guess, yes, a business owner could ask to see your CHL or your LTC, but there's no legal requirement that they have to show it to you.
Okay, if I as a citizen see somebody acting in an irresponsible manner with one, do I have the right?
No.
Okay.
Call us immediately.
All right, thank you.
If you see something like that, absolutely.
This question is regarding people who work for a school system.
Yes.
Are they allowed to leave it in their car?
Yes. State law came down, I think it was 2 years ago, it might have been 4. They actually passed a law that says businesses, which a school would be in that category, cannot restrict you from carrying a weapon in your car.
No,
A legal
including
weapon.
employees, correct?
Even employees. Now, if you're using that car for either business purposes under that business or say school district, so say you have to move parts from one school to another in that personally owned vehicle, while you're an employee using that personally owned vehicle for employee reasons, you cannot carry a gun if they don't want you to. If they tell you by email, memo, post-it note, it doesn't matter. You cannot use it if you're currently in that vehicle on business purposes.
Okay, one more question,
Yes.
clarification. 51% basically,
Bar sign? Mhm.
yeah. Is that meaning consumption or just sales period?
On-premise consumption.
Okay, so say a liquor store that doesn't have a 30-06 outside of it, can you legally carry concealed inside of the liquor store? They do get robbed.
As long as they're not posted, they're a business like anybody else.
Okay, thank you.
As long as you have a license and you follow by the rules, it's just like going into Walmart or Cheesecake Factory. Go ahead. Right side's getting all the attention today.
I know that we've covered education facilities in churches. What about education facilities sponsored by a church? A church
So in other words, a private educational institution.
hosted at a church.
Hosted at a church. Okay, so is the church the school?
Well, the church is a church.
Okay. And so do you rent it out to, say, CISD for a function, or are you
It's a private school, yes.
Private school
so
using
let's just
the church.
It's a church school.
All right.
So how does that work? Because it's still an educational.
Right. So private schools can restrict, and there's lots of new little rules that are coming out about private schools and all that kind of stuff that are still to be decided. But private schools essentially is just like any other school, to where if they, during school functions, if they want to restrict concealed carry on that property, then they can. Where we don't know what's going to affect is the open carry issue, because you cannot open carry onto the grounds of a public or private school, including the parking lot, per se. So, for instance, the church. The church on Sunday, to me, as Corporal Brian Proctor, is a church. If you don't have a sign posted, then it's a church just like any other place. If you have school going on, again, to me, Corporal Brian Proctor, that would lead me to believe it's a private educational institution. So it's bound by the regulations of what that is. In other words, you cannot open carry onto the grounds of that public institution. Again, we don't know how that's necessarily going to shake out. The AG may come up with a decision, or the court system may come up with a decision that says, if there's a school in there 1 day a week, it's a school, no matter what's going on.
So in other words, during a church function, you can just verbally say, please don't show your firearm.
You can always say that.
But during a school function, it's going to fall under educational and absolutely hands-off, correct? Until something comes up.
It is our interpretation that that is the way it is. Again, it's complicated. We've had these discussions within the city on what's going on. This building is a government building. So government buildings cannot restrict handguns unless there's certain criteria, such as a court. All right? There's no courtroom or court building inside this building. So this building cannot post a sign up by law restricting either one. What if we have a problem going on? Is that room next door where the problem's going on? Or is that room the lobby? Or is it down that hallway? What are the grounds of that interscholastic event that's going on? Okay,
just two other parts of that. Is it only considered school if you're renting it? But if you're allowing a homeschool group to meet at your facility rent-free, does it still count as an educational?
That's a decision that's going to have to answered way higher than me. That's not addressed by legislature.
All right. So safe part is just don't.
Safe part is don't carry if there's a hint of a school.
And now the fun part, just a fun question. This is it. What about homeschools with guns in the premises?
It is not addressed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank the legislature.
Good
Yes,
evening,
ma'am.
sir. I have 3 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
First one is, can you carry open carry with a drop leg holster that is attached to your belt?
I knew this question was going to come up. Okay, so I've actually asked DPS this question. Okay, the question was, can you openly carry a handgun in a drop leg holster? The old tactical holsters that attach to your thigh, but technically they do have a strap that comes up and attaches to your belt. Is that a belt holster? T. Cole says one thing, DPS says another. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to bother with something like that because I'm not going to have my name attached to a case law.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean somebody won't address it. So I can give you an example. DPS, what DPS and T. Cole essentially said, but not came out and said it, is to them a belt holster means something that is actually retaining the weight of the gun. So in a drop leg holster, the only reason that strap is really there is just to kind of brace it a little bit. Typically most of the weight is attached to your leg. I know because I've worn one for a little bit. Most of the weight's attached to your leg and is secured by the leg. So I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that's totally, that'll be decided in the next 6 months, I guarantee you.
And if I wasn't paying attention enough, can you openly carry more than one gun?
There is no restriction on how many. If you want to go all Laura Croft Tomb Raider on me.
Not me.
There is
Not
no
me.
restriction.
One's plenty for me. Can you open carry and concealed carry at the same time?
You can open carry and concealed carry as many times as you want to in one given location. Okay. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
You can have 20 guns in different various aspects of your body. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you carry into a bank?
As long as it's not posted. They're a private business just like anything else. So you can carry it there. Can you carry into a bank is the question. As long as it's not posted, you can carry inside of a bank, just like any private business. Yes, there's no federal law that says you can't do that.
There's way too much attention on that side.
I appreciate it. My head was starting to get a little cricked up.
You corrected me on the carry in the hospital,
Yes.
on the conceal, and
Yes.
unless posted.
Yes.
But on the open carry, it's blanket no in a hospital.
It's just the same. A hospital is a private business. Therefore, if they do not want you to open carry there, they have to put up a sign.
And what was the lady's last question? Because she made me ask a question.
How many guns can you carry at
No, not that
time?
one. I love that one.
Thigh holster. The bank.
The bank.
You can carry in a bank as long as it's not posted.
Open, yeah. No
Open
problem.
or concealed as long as it's not posted.
No problem.
To answer your question for the hospital, Detector, Cleburne, you cannot openly carry or conceal carry in that hospital.
There you go. They already got the signs up.
So the signs are posted.
There you go. I don't know. I have never seen a hospital or nursing home that does not have the signs posted because of the oxygen issue. That's pretty much standard for any hospital. You're probably not going to find one that does.
I was just in Medical Plaza, and I didn't notice the sign because I was going in for a procedure, so I didn't carry, but I thought that I could.
Yeah, if you don't see the sign and if it's not there, again, I'm half blind too, so make sure you watch, and next time you go there, make sure you look at the door and see if it's prominently posted.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Yes, sir.
Thank you. About the oxygen issue thing, would that also apply to stun guns and tasers?
The stun guns and tasers are not regulated under Texas statute.
Okay, so you don't have to have a concealed carry permit to have one?
They are not regulated at all.
Oh, yeah.
For those of y'all that don't know, TCOL, I referred to it earlier, and sometimes I speak in acronyms, but TCOL is a regulating licensing body that licenses peace officers. So that's who TCOL is. Yes?
I just wanted to get Cleburne Police Department's opinion on this. Someone calls 911. They say, hey, there's a guy here with a gun. Hangs up, like you said. You have no further information. You're going to respond.
Yeah.
What should I do to make you feel more comfortable when you approach me? I don't want to do anything.
That's an excellent question.
I mean, with everything going on today, I want to make sure. I mean, when I get pulled over, my windows come down, my engine gets turned off. I toss my keys on my dash. I have everything I need in my fingers crossed and maybe I'm going too far, but
hey,
I want to make sure
I'm not going to stop you, but you know.
That when you guys approach me and I see, okay, this officer's, he's got eye contact, he's coming at me. I mean, how would you prefer me to act? Obviously you don't want me, going into a...
Keep in mind, this is also new for officers. Texas peace officers have never dealt with openly carrying a handgun before in their life unless they're dealing with other peace officers. So it's going to be a little bit learning curve. We don't exactly have a curriculum out of, like traffic stops, for instance. We pretty much can tell you exactly what we want you to do when you're stopped on traffic. Throwing the keys is a little excessive, but hey, like I said, I'm not going to stop you.
I put them on the dash.
And hey, just don't throw them in the ditch because I'm not going to help you look for them.
I just want to let you know I'm not driving off. I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Okay, so if you're stopped by a peace officer, you see he's coming to talk to you, identify with you, or whatever, I would say probably the #1 rule is just keep the hands away from the gun. If you want to put them out here, if you want to put them in here, if you want to do something on your hip, whatever, as long as you're not doing this, then you're probably going to be good. And just to follow the officer's directions from then on out. We were discussing today about what kind of curriculum there is for officers to disarm somebody. Guess what? There's not one. And so we're trying to figure out how we're going to train officers on how to take a gun off of somebody in somebody's holster that we're not familiar with, and we may not know how that gun works. Can you imagine So we're trying to figure that one out as well. But if you are contacted by a peace officer and he does ID you or he's coming at you, just make sure your hands are visible. That's probably the #1 thing.
Yes,
okay?
Sir. Thank you, Corporal.
No problem. Here, I'll get you.
I know the law says it needs to be secured in a belt or shoulder holster. Now, a lot of belt holsters don't necessarily have a strap over with a snap.
Right.
But they're held in place with tension. Is that still considered secure, or if it doesn't have a strap, does it need to have like a button that you have to press to remove
That was not
the
addressed
firearm?
by the legislature. I can tell you this, though. Retention is not a requirement. So if it's held in by gravity, the assumption is that it's secured. There was no retention requirement other than in the new license to carry classes, we have to teach retention on. And it's not even what I thought when they said we're going to have to teach retention is we're going to have to teach people how to keep their guns in their holsters like what we train as police officers, how to fight with keeping the gun in. No, we just get to tell you what kind of retention holsters there are out there on the market. So that's what DPS came down and told us. So there is no requirement in the law about what level of retention you have to have. It's a good question. Yes.
First of all, Corporal, you're doing a heck of a job, man.
Well, I appreciate it. And make sure you tell this man right there.
Chief might want to put another stripe on there, but
no, we don't want to do that.
You don't do that?
No.
Okay. Now, when I took my class, you talk about the confusion. I was talking about you got two different sides of the story. When I took the class, I was told that no matter what, if I had the gun with me or not, to show my driver's license and to show my concealed handgun license. But I got stopped by an officer one day, and I showed him both. He said, "You have the gun with you?" I said, "No." He said, "You don't need to show me." So
that is correct.
Show or no.
What I tell people in my classes is, if you don't have your gun on you, you don't have to display your license. However, if he stopped you for failed to signal a right-hand turn, what's his concern when he's going up to that car? He's concerned with the failed to signal right-hand turn. Right. Correct? Now, if you don't tell him you have a LTC, if you don't tell him you have a license, and he goes back to his car and he types in his DL number, what's the first thing he's going to realize? It's
going to pop up. Man.
You got a license. Now, what's his main concern? Is his concern writing or a warning or a ticket? What's his concern?
Am I going to get shot?
Why is this guy not telling me he has a gun? Because typically, what does a license mean to most officers? You've taken training, you've had background checks, you've had all this stuff done. Okay, it'll calm that officer just a little bit if you tell him in the advance. Okay. But no, if you don't have the gun on you, you don't have to display the license.
It's just good to do it. Anyhow.
It's just good to do it.
All right, thanks.
No problem. Oh, I thought he was going for a question. Everybody applaud him for faking me out. All right.
I'm sorry, I have one more.
Shoot, get it.
Magazine pouches.
What about them?
Yes, no, inside, outside, concealed. I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay.
It's not a firearm. I don't care. It's not addressed at all. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You can open carry on a motorcycle if you have a license, as long as it's in a belt or shoulder holster. Yes.
Since we're not always in the city, is there anything that the sheriff would like to
That's an excellent
ask
question.
or offer to us?
I thought I was going to get by. Okay. No, it's very valid. And I want to thank you for being here, because number one, we're going to have no trouble out of you people, because you're already trying to do what's right, and thank you for that. Thank you for coming out here, and thank Cleburne and Corporal, thank you for all this work in this. We're following the same policies that the city's got in place here. This is a good set of rules. I might address a couple of issues, though, is the courthouse. The old courthouse, the commissioners and our county attorney are still working on what to do. The commissioner's courtroom could be off limits, as well as there's one JP office over there. That will probably be off limits. The area outside of that JP office, the area outside of that commissioner's courtroom, or the meeting areas, they're pre-entry, that would be off limits if those signs are posted. The Gwynn building, the criminal courts building, off limits. Immediately when you come through that metal detector, which is not going away, you're in the visitation area of a courtroom. One of the district courts, that's your first entrance into that. You've also got offices of the court. The district attorney and the district clerk's office are in there. So the county attorney, with the consensus of the commissioner's court and myself, have decided that that building is going to be off limits. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't envy y'all trying to figure that out either, because the legislature did not do y'all any favors.
And I might add, we're not going to stop you and ask to see your license unless somebody's called in and said it's suspicious. It's just not going to happen. We've always supported concealed carry, haven't had issues that I'm aware of in this county.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question. What if you're driving and you get pulled over and have your handgun in your console?
Is it visible?
concern?
She's like, it will be. Her question. Her question was, what if I'm stopped and I've got my handgun in the console? The question I got to ask you is it secured in a belt or shoulder holster? Then it has to be concealed. If you have a license, even if you don't have a license in your car, you're still okay if it's concealed, as long as it's concealed.
So it can be secured in a holster, but a holster probably not secured in your belt.
His question was, it can be secured in a holster, but the holster does not have to be on the belt. The legislature did not address that. Therefore, I shall not answer, other than the fact that it should be secured in a belt or shoulder holster.
Does it have to be on me physically, the belt?
Does it have to be on me physically, the belt? The legislature did not address that. You're more than welcome to try the first test case. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, go ahead.
You have stated that yourself and the Cleburne Police Department and Sheriff Alford just stated that the Sheriff's Department is not going to just walk up there and ask for your license because you're carrying. Solely because you're carrying, yes. Something stops small town USA 8 miles down the road from doing that also.
That is Cleburne's policy. Right now, there is no court ruling to say either way. So, Cleburne's policy that the chief has developed, like that the chief has developed, says we will not be solely stopping you for the sole reason that you're open carrying. That's Cleburne. I cannot tell you what town that will be challenged in, and that there's eventually going to be case law. So I don't know where that's going to happen. The goal is here that we're not going to be that test case in Cleburne. Hope I can hear you back there. What if I want to go old school in black powder? If I want to go old school in black powder, you need to consult the penal code in regards to what is a curio and what is not a curio. And I will just leave that one there. To be safe, though, I would have a license. Because I'm not, if I'm the officer on the street and I'm dealing with you and you got an old school black powder gun that can still kill me, then I'm not going to sit here and Google the numbers on the side of the gun to make sure it's prior to 1899 or whatever that is. So we'll deal with that later. Any other questions? We got one there.
If you, the court that you were talking about there, you've got a metal detector. I'm not familiar with your facility, but you've got a metal detector inside the door someplace, I assume. So if we happen to carry, which some people carry quite a bit, and you come in there and realize, whoops, have you got a place to put the gun? Or do you say, turn around, go back out and take care of it? Or what do you do?
It depends on your action when you come in that door.
Most of the time
if you come in that door and we catch that gun, you break and run, we call that a clue.
Yeah, okay. Probably a clue.
If you walk in that door and we can see the expression on your face and it's an honest mistake, you're going to be asked to take it back to the car.
Okay, there isn't a place necessarily.
No,
some places I've been, there's lock boxes that you can put in, and you know, it's no problem. But then again, if you get into a case where, okay, where is the secure area start? Does it start at the door? Or does it start at the you know, metal detector?
As far as our facility, when you come through that metal detector, you've entered the secure area.
Okay. Yeah, I know because, well, like a hospital, I've been in a hospital a couple of times where I was carrying, and well, of course, they carried me in too, so maybe that might have had something to do with it. But they said, you know, we're going to lock this up for you. I said, fine, just remember that it is ready to go.
I can tell you law enforcement facilities, such as our police department, are required to provide lock boxes because you cannot carry past the secured area of a law enforcement facility. We do have lock boxes available for you to secure your gun into. We're required to have those by law.
Okay, and in federal buildings,
don't even go there.
Yeah, it's on the whole premises, evidently.
Yes.
Because I went in one place and was looking for their lockbox, we don't have a lockbox. I said, well, what the heck am I going to do? I've got to be in here to see about some things.
There's no, federal can't go. It's just a giant no-go zone. And that's a federal rule, federal law.
Yeah, I figured that, and they said, well, go put it in the car. I said, I'm in Dallas. I said, you know.
Yeah.
Putting it in the car, well, nobody would mess around here.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, you opened up a can of worms right off the bat with your belt holster.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves us to two things. Your definition up there was secured by the belt.
No, by a belt holster.
By a belt.
By a belt holster.
So my paddle holster is secured by my belt. It's just not on the belt.
So let me ask you a question.
Oh,
if you take your belt off, is that paddle holster still on your body?
I can take, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question.
That's a long time to answer the question.
All right.
Again, that's semantics that
they didn't give us any help on.
Yes, they didn't give us any help on. So we just got to roll with what we're doing on the side of the street. And, you know, the side of the street is not the time to argue your case. If for some reason you're charged for having a paddle holster and you're open and carrying, guess where you take that? You take that to the court, or you take that to the complaint process at the whatever PD you dealt with that at, and that's how it's adjudicated through court.
Well, I bet most of us appreciate you taking these questions.
Oh yeah, I'll leave that one alone. Yes.
You mentioned something earlier.
Speak loud.
You mentioned something earlier about having a disarm somebody.
Yes.
There's something that kind of sticks in my mind, safety. Different holders, don't know about the holder or whatever.
Right.
There's so many blocks out there, guns with no safety. If you were going to disarm me, I don't care. Would you rather me clear the weapon?
Absolutely not. I'm going to tell you from my perspective and the perspective of the officers, and I think I can speak with the chief and the assistant chief here, is we want your hands as far away from that gun as possible. If I have probable cause to disarm you, then I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let you touch the gun, and that's a safety issue for an officer. So, yeah, I'm not going to let you do it.
How about just removing the belt?
I would just keep your hands up and allow the officer to give you the direction of how that task is going to be accomplished. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Yes.
Officers should be doing it every day, but for example, the guys regarding station for
The reserves sign up place, yeah.
or if you're going hunting, how do you feel about a tactical vest?
A tactical vest.
Here, but it goes over the shoulder.
If you're securing a pistol and a tactical vest, it's not. My definition would not be that's a belt holster, or well, I guess yeah, shoulder holster. I guess it could be. Again, see you. And guess who make these decisions? 12 reasonable people down the line make these decisions when it comes down to it. And I just changed my mind twice, so it's new territory. I can see a tactical vest not being a shoulder holster. I can see it being a shoulder holster. So that was not addressed in the legislature. Any other questions? Last chance. Yes. Mm-hmm. I can't speak for Cleburne or the Cleburne School Board or the Keene School Board for that matter. I can tell you that there is a law out there that was passed 2 years ago that allowed exceptions for certain school districts under the what they're calling the Guardian legislation or the Guardian statute. And so that's an exception that was carved out. Now, how that's implemented, you'll have to talk to them about that. What the status is on that, I couldn't tell you. But there is a certain program out there. I don't know if that's what they're following, but there is one available. Yes.
I don't have a question per se, but I want to share something with you. Y'all here from Texas, and we're talking about all the places you can and can't carry. If you ever get a chance to go to our state legislature, to the Capitol, and are carrying, it is a very cool experience to walk in there. You bypass the metal detector, they swipe your card, and you bypass all security carrying. It's a very cool experience that showcases really well what our state is about. And if you ever have that chance, and I don't know why you'd want to go to the legislature, but I'll leave that alone. But if you do, it's a very cool experience, and I hope you don't mind I shared that.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes, we'll take 2 more after him. Say it again.
What about state-owned colleges? We got some emails the other day that said they're trying to make state-owned colleges.
State-owned colleges in the new law are allowed to carve out certain, now they cannot make the whole campus, but they're allowed under statute to carve out certain gun-free zones. So that's a decision that the Board of Regents, the president, and all that kind of stuff they have to make, and they have to then post. So, and it's up to that college. Any others? Going once, going twice. All right, yes. Ooh, right in the buzzer there.
The statute penalty, selling the anything that no longer that selling what out of Class C, anything that's not a Class C. And if you walk to the courthouse or
No, if you walk into courthouses, it's a higher charge. If you walk into a bar, it's a higher charge. If you walk into schools, post office, it can be a higher charge, absolutely. What's a Class C is disregarding, essentially, give an example, a private businesses, a bank. Say a bank puts up a sign, and if you walk past that sign now with an open or concealed handgun, then that's a Class C offense. If you're told verbally by that bank, you have to leave, and if you refuse, that's a Class A offense. Answer that question, yes. Last one.
Does anybody know if HEB is going to post where you cannot conceal or open carry?
That's a great question for HEB. Unfortunately, they're not on this stage right now. I'm kidding. I've heard rumors, but I don't want to address any rumors just because I don't know personally. Yeah, I saw something in the paper, so you can. Yeah, that's what I heard. So I would just check that out with HB. I'm going to turn this over to the chief real quick, and then I guess we'll be free to go.
Yeah, let's give Brian a hand. Thank y'all very much for coming out. I will give a short plug for our Citizens Police Academy. They probably told you about it up front, but we would like for everybody to sign up and attend. If you'd like more information about it, we'll be sure to get you some information on our Citizens Police Academy. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.